Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I am Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next hour, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarks on two-nation visit to Poland and Ukraine. Says we'll look to strengthen bilateral ties and share perspectives on peaceful resolution of the ongoing Ukraine conflict. As Russia-Ukraine conflict escalates, Kyiv launches its largest ever drone attacks on Moscow. Russian air defense says it destroyed 45 drones targeting capital. On second day of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, former US President Barack Obama endorses Kamala Harris in her White House bid, urges voters to back a new chapter with her. Mpox cases on the rise. Thailand reports first case of more dangerous strain in a tourist. Global public health authorities remain on alert. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarked on a three-day visit to Poland and Ukraine on Wednesday. This would be the first visit by any Indian Prime Minister to Warsaw in 45 years and the first ever to Ukraine. In his departure statement, the Prime Minister mentioned that his visit to Poland comes as mark of 70 years of our diplomatic relations. Poland is a key economic partner to India in Central Europe. Two sides have mutual commitment to democracy and pluralism. PM Modi to engage with the members of the vibrant Indian community in Poland. PM Modi also said that he is looking forward to meet his Polish counterpart, Donald Tusk, and President Andrzej Duda to further advance India-Poland partnership. PM Modi to visit Ukraine at invitation of President Volodymyr Zelensky. PM Modi looks forward to strengthen bilateral cooperation and share perspectives on a peaceful resolution of the ongoing Ukraine conflict. As a friend and partner, India hopes for an early return of peace and stability in the region. PM Modi has embarked on his two-nation visit to Poland and Ukraine to strengthen the bilateral relation between the countries, India and Poland, and India and Ukraine. 125 kilometers from Poland's capital city, Warsaw, is the city of Łódź. The city is not only the stronghold of Indian multinationals, but also has several small units of textile manufacturing. DD India correspondent Vishal Baristo caught up with the Indian diaspora in Łódź on the Indian Prime Minister's visit to Poland.
I'm here in Łódź, which is the industrial hub of the Indian companies. 200 companies are located here, and I have with me these very excited Indians who are ready to welcome the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Let's talk to them and find out. What's your name?
Amit Lat.
Mr. Amit, how do you feel about this visit of the Prime Minister?
It's absolutely a proud moment for India and Indian community out here. And even the Polish diaspora is looking forward to this visit of Prime Minister Modi. It's an epic visit. You know, after 45 years, the Prime Minister is arriving to this country. And I think this is going to take India relations with Poland at a different level.
What makes Łódź so important for Indian diaspora and also for the Polish economy?
There are more than 200 plus Indian companies who are contributing to the fashion industry across Poland, you know. And that's the reason Indian community plays a very, very important role out here, and especially all the Indian companies out here.
It's a very big moment for us who live here for around maybe 30 years, 20 years. Me, myself, being born and brought up here 24 years. And especially, it's very proud of the things that Modi is doing around the world. For example, recently we were in a Paris textile fair. There you could proudly see on the entrance a big image of India and Narendra Modi and the exhibition of Bharat Text being promoted around the world. So it's like step by step he's making big changes, and we're excited to see what changes he brings to Poland.
भारत माता की जय, भारत माता की जय, भारत वंदे वंदे वंदे.
So there you hear all these people, they are from the Indian diaspora and they are also very excited, and why not? The long wait of 45 years is now over. With cameraman Sanjeev in Bhuj, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
And DD India correspondent Vishal Baristo is joining us from Poland to give us more details. Hello Vishal, we just saw your wonderful interaction with the Indian diaspora and they were so happy, you know, as PM Modi is about to visit Poland. Now Vishal, can you just tell us, first Indian Prime Minister to visit Poland in 45 years, how's the atmosphere there and how excited is the Indian diaspora?
Well, very good day to you, Siddharth. Yes, the mood is absolutely vibrant here in Warsaw, and the Indian community is also very excited because this is the first time in the last 45 years that any Prime Minister from India is visiting Poland, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the second non-Congress Prime Minister after Morarji Desai. So it is going to be a very, very crucial visit of the Prime Minister, and let me tell you that this visit has many firsts. Not only because he's meeting the Indian diaspora, but also because he's going to honor the help and support given by the two principalities of the British India, and that was Jamnagar and Kolhapur in Maharashtra. And Prime Minister would be paying his homage on both the memorials. In fact, during the Second World War, when the Polish people were driven all over the world. First they were attacked by the Germans and then the USSR, and they had nowhere to settle down. It was first the Maharaja of Jamnagar in Gujarat who offered them refuge, and then followed by the Maharaja of Kolhapur. So the two principalities, they arranged for the refuge of 5,000 Polish people. Some of them, they are still alive, and they would be accompanying the Prime Minister on his visit to these memorials. First, he would go to the memorial of Jamnagar Sahab, who's also called the Dobra Maharaja. Dobra means good Maharaja in Polish. And then he would go to Kolhapur Memorial. This is the first time that any Prime Minister would be visiting these memorials, and this marks the close bonding between the two countries even before the starting of the diplomatic ties between the two countries. So definitely it's going to be a very exciting day. Polish children are going to read out poems before the Prime Minister at the memorial of Jamnagar Sahab, and then he would go to Kolhapur Memorial, where a dozen of people in Maharashtrian costume of Indian origin would also accompany him. So it is going to be a very, very lively performance today. And then in the evening, he would be meeting the Indian community, the Indian diaspora, which is planned for the day. Tomorrow is all booked for the official meeting. So it is going to be a very, very Indian day here in Poland.
Definitely. Vishal, can you in detail tell us that what can we expect from Prime Minister Modi's visit? What's on the agenda?
Well, the two-day visit is divided in two parts. Today, as I told you, that he is going to visit the two memorials and meeting the Indian diaspora. Tomorrow, he will be having a meeting at the Chancellery, and he is having a high-level meeting with both the President and Prime Minister of Poland, and they are going to discuss many things. See, Poland is gateway, can be gateway to Europe for India. India is the 5th largest economy, and Poland is also the largest trading partner of India, and the trade is in favor of India with at $6 billion. So India is exporting textiles, machinery, pharmaceuticals to Poland, and in return Poland is giving us machinery tools. So it is going to be a very, very important discussion. because not many students are also here. We have a 25,000 strong Indian diaspora, out of which 5,000 are Indian students. And also, Prime Minister is going to thank and acknowledge the support of Polish government during the period of Operation Ganga, because it was the support of Poland that allowed safe exit for Indian students from Ukraine.
All right, thank you so much, Vishal, for your analysis. We'll keep taking updates from you. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated India's Central Bank Governor Shaktikanta Das on receiving the top rating in the Global Finance Central Banker Report Cards 2024. Responding to a post on X by Reserve Bank of India, Prime Minister Modi said, "Congratulations to RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das for this feat, and that too for the second time. This is a recognition of his leadership at the RBI and his work towards ensuring economic growth and stability." In an exclusive conversation with DD India, ISRO Chairman Dr. S. Somnath shared progress on India's ambitious human space mission, Gaganyaan. He confirmed that the first test flight of India's human-related Gaganyaan rocket is set for December 2024.
About 4 or 5 years we have been working on this program for building a rocket which will be human-rated, building the craft that is called the Gaganyaan craft, the crew module, and the associated complex systems, the crew escape system and the intelligence in the rocket which are required to carry out this mission. I can tell you that we have reached the threshold of completing the rocket ready. The rocket is already completed the human rating and is at Satish Dhawan Space Center for ready for launch. The crew module and the rest of the elements are new developments. Of course, this has gone through certain development process. We did some missions in the recent times showcasing how the crew escape can really happen. The flight item is now finally undergoing the integration, and still there are some milestones to cross, like the development of crew. For example, environmental control support system is under development and many such smaller elements. So the first mission we are undertaking without crew inside, but with a robot, which will be replicating the human flight scenarios and do the measurements. Vyomitra, of course. Humanoid, yes. So the crew module, the crew escape system and other elements will come to launch complex by next 2 months or so. And we will be ready for the first mission, the unmanned mission, uncrewed mission to space by December this year.
Talking about India's first National Space Day on August 23rd, ISRO chief said today India's space story is about both milestone achievements like Chandrayaan-3 as well as becoming relevant in everyday life of people.
Being the first National Space Day have its prominence so that it has to get embedded into the minds of the people that we are going to this. So that's why it is important. See, we have all the time telling that we are touching the lives of the people. And when we do so, the reason for going to moon has always been questioned. And the connection between these two are very, very evident today, because it is inspiring people, it is inspiring youngsters, it's also bringing in new talents and technology into the domain of the space. So traditionally we have been working with people serving the humanity, like in disaster management, natural resource mapping, communication. Now today we are into the space, looking at moon and Mars and beyond the universe. Yes.
And solar panels are being installed at around 5,000 temples and parivanas across Sri Lanka under the grant from India. Solar panels are being installed at 4,000 temples and 800 parivanas or monastic colleges, with plans to extend the project to an additional 3,000 temples. The project is being implemented under a grant of $15 million. High Commissioner of India Santosh Jha said the Indian government has implemented projects across all 25 districts of Sri Lanka. The public unveiling of these projects is likely to be delayed due to the upcoming election. The Indian High Commissioner also distributed solar lanterns to beneficiaries of houses built with Indian grant assistance in the plantation areas. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Pakistani pilgrim bus overturns, at least 28 people killed and 23 injured in Iran. Britain's government again borrowed more than expected last month. That highlighted the tight financial backdrop for a new finance minister.
This week on Defense Dynamics, we will dive into incredible piece of engineering that's making waves internationally, the BrahMos missile. A missile jointly developed by India and Russia is the fastest cruise missile in the world. Also, we will tell you how Bangladesh's geographical position makes it a strategic player in South Asian regional dynamics. Watch Defense Dynamics every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. IST only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Russian President Vladimir Putin made a surprise visit to the North Caucasus Republic amid Ukraine's cross-border incursion, the first trip in 13 years. Putin and Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov inspected Chechen troops and volunteers in Chechnya on Tuesday. Kadyrov, a key Kremlin ally, has often described himself as Putin's foot soldier. The surprise visit comes as Moscow fights to push Ukrainian forces out of its Kursk region 2 weeks after they crossed the border in the largest invasion of Russia since World War II. Ukraine launched one of the largest ever drone attacks on Moscow on Tuesday. The attack comes as Russia, while advancing in eastern Ukraine, struggles to push Ukrainian forces out of its Kursk region. The Russian air defense said its units destroyed 45 drones targeting the capital. 11 of the drones were destroyed over the Moscow region, 23 over the border Bryansk region, and 6 over the Belgorod region, 3 over Kaluga region, and 2 over the Kursk region. So far, no damage or casualties have been reported. Meanwhile, Ukraine's military said that it struck an S-300 anti-aircraft missile system based in Russia's southern Rostov region overnight. Kyiv's general staff said the attack took place near the settlement of Novoshakhtinsk, and S-300s had been used to attack civilian infrastructure in Ukraine. Russian Defense Minister Andrei Beluzov announced on Tuesday that Russia has established 3 troop groups in the border regions amid the Ukrainian offensive. The 3 troop groups are named after the regions of Belgorod, Bryansk, and Kursk. The troop groups will be responsible for defending Russian residents and territory against attacks by drones and other means. Russia has also set up a special working team to collect, analyze, and forward the information from various regions and to supervise their resolution. Meanwhile, Deputy Head of Russia's Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, said on Wednesday that as a result of Ukraine's incursion into Russia's Kursk region, there will be no talks between Moscow and Kiev until Ukraine is completely defeated. And DD India correspondent Dasha Cherneshova is joining us from Moscow to give us more details on what is happening in the region. Hello, Dasha. In some recent months, Kiev has stepped up attacks on Russian territory, and this time Ukraine launched one of the largest ever drone attacks on Moscow. How has Russia responded to it?
Well, indeed, we've heard from the Russian MOD saying that at least 45 Ukrainian drones have been shot down over 5 regions of the country overnight. All of them have been destroyed according to the Ministry of Defense, and we understand that Moscow has seen the largest attack by the Ukrainian drones in months, with the mayor of the capital, Sergei Sobyanin, saying that Russia has developed a very well-echeloned system of drone defense and drone interception, so the capital is well protected. Those drones have been intercepted before they could have the opportunity to reach the Russian capital. We also understand that the Russian authorities have gotten used to these sort of attacks, and they know how to deal with the aftermath, even though repeatedly we are hearing about the several industrial and energy objects catching fire and the local authorities being charged with extinguishing those fires. But in the meantime, we understand that Moscow is responding to those attacks by demilitarizing Ukraine, and that is by carrying out strikes against the military infrastructure of Ukraine and the Western weapons that this country is being supplied with.
Okay, Dasha, Russia on other hand is relentlessly attacking Donetsk region and also increasing its military presence there. With Ukraine's incursion into Russian territory, how is Russia managing on both the fronts?
Well, it does seem to be that the Russian authorities stress that during the Kursk incursion, the advance of the Russian forces on other fronts in Donbass have not been halted. Russia did not have to pull out their troops from those regions, but instead they have managed to accelerate their advance on the fronts in Donbass. And we are hearing about more gains by the Russian armed forces in the Donetsk People's Republic by catching more and taking control over more residential areas, as well as the areas where the beefed up points of the Ukrainian military have been constructed. So it does seem to be that Russia is dealing with their goals by trying to achieve them as they have planned before. While in Kursk, we understand that the Russian military are trying to make a smoother cooperation between the regional authorities and the military, and that's why the country's defense minister Andrei Belousov has most recently said that they have created 3 new groupings of forces that are now charged with defending those 3 regions that border Ukraine, the region of Belgorod, the region of Kursk, and the region of Bryansk. So there are 3 new groupings of the Russian forces. But also we understand that the Russian authorities here in the country do now say that it is impossible to talk about the possibility of peace negotiations with Ukraine. And they say the Kursk incursion has very well demonstrated that Ukraine is not willing to find a negotiated solution to the conflict.
All right, Dasha, thank you so much for your analysis. We'll keep taking updates from you. Aerial footage released by Israel's army on Wednesday showed what it said were strikes on Hezbollah targets in the Bekaa and Aita Ash-Shab areas in Lebanon. The Israeli army said in a telegram post accompanying the videos, their air force struck Hezbollah weapons storage facilities in Bekaa. The army also said it struck Hezbollah military structures in the areas of Aita Ash-Shab, Ramia and Teluseh in southern Lebanon. Israel and Hezbollah have been trading fire since Hezbollah announced a support front with Palestinians shortly after its ally Hamas attacked southern Israeli border communities on October 7, triggering Israel's military offensive in Gaza. During a quick trip to the West Asia, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken attempted to give efforts to mediate a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas more immediacy, but departed the region on Tuesday with an agreement between Israel and Hamas still elusive. All right, and DD correspondent Sarah Coates is joining us from Tel Aviv to give more details on what is happening in and around the region. Hello, Sarah. Deal looking more and more unlikely. What are you getting for us?
Hello there, Sid. It really is many sticking points here. And according to senior Israeli and US officials, talks are on the brink of collapsing. Now, the US Secretary of State, as you mentioned, is now on his way back to Washington after this crisis tour of the Middle East. He was here in Israel. He then travelled to Egypt, and his final destination, his final stop was in Qatar. Now, he told reporters just before boarding his flight that a deal needs to get done, and it needs to be done in the days ahead. Now, one of these major sticking points is Hamas's demand for a complete withdrawal of Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip. This is something that Israel completely rejects. We've been hearing from the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that he wants to keep complete security control of the Philadelphia corridor. This is this very narrow strip of land that separates Gaza and Egypt, with Netanyahu saying that this is vital for the security of Israel, meaning that it would stop weapons transfers from Egypt into Gaza. So one of the main sticking points, of course, is this, and this is drawing a lot of criticism from the hostages and missing families forum. They have been slamming Benjamin Netanyahu, basically accusing him of blocking a deal. Now, Blinken was also speaking out about what Netanyahu said about the Philadelphia corridor, and he said that the US does not accept any long-term occupation of Gaza by Israel. And really, this ceasefire and hostage deal is really being seen as crucial, Sid, to potentially stop further escalation in the region, as we do need to remember that both Hezbollah and Iran have been threatening to retaliate against Israel for the assassinations of a senior Hezbollah commander and also, of course, Ismail Haniyeh, who was the head of Hamas's Politburo.
Sarah, now tit for tat between Israel and Hezbollah is escalating, certainly. What more can you tell us?
Well, certainly these cross-border attacks are continuing. Over the last few hours, Hezbollah has launched more than 50 rockets into northern Israel, a number of these hitting homes, injuring a man in his 30s. Now, we do have a statement actually from the IDF spokesperson. He just came out to say that Hezbollah has been firing indiscriminately at Israeli civilians, adding, "We will act accordingly." Now, these rockets came after Israel carried out yet another series of strikes on the Bekaa Valley. That's about 70 kilometres from the Israeli border in Lebanon, so very deep inside Lebanon, hitting weapons storage facilities, setting off a number of secondary explosions. Now, we do understand that some 20 people were injured in these firings, in these attacks, with one person killed. And once again, Hezbollah has been threatening to retaliate against Israel, while we do need to mention Iran here because its UN mission has come out to pledge retaliation against Israel, saying that Iran would respond in a time and manner that takes the Israelis by surprise. So once again, this region is really on edge, and this ceasefire in Gaza is being seen, Sid, as crucial for bringing down tensions.
All right, we leave it there. Thank you so much, Sarah Coates, for joining in and for your analysis. On the second night of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz were confirmed as their nominees for the U.S. presidential polls. Former U.S. President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama delivered back-to-back impassioned speech endorsing Harris. They urged voters to back a new chapter with her, saying America is ready for a new chapter and Kamala Harris is ready for the job.
We have a chance to elect someone who has spent her entire life trying to give people the same chances America gave her. Someone who sees you and hears you and will get up every single day and fight for you. The next president of the United States of America, Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris is more than ready for this moment. She is one of the most qualified people ever to seek the office of the presidency. And she is one of the most dignified. A tribute to her mother, to my mother, and to your mother too.
Kamala Harris's husband, Douglas M. Hoff, praised his wife for her joy and empathy during his speech at the DNC. The second gentleman described his wife as a joyful warrior, while also highlighting her background as a tough prosecutor.
Kamala is a joyful warrior. It's doing for her country what she has always done for the people that she loves. Her passion will benefit all of us when she's our president. And here's the thing about joyful warriors. They're still warriors. And Kamala is as tough as it comes. Just ask the criminals, the global gangsters, and the witnesses before the Senate Judiciary Committee. She never runs from a fight. And she knows the best way to deal with a coward is to take him head on. Because we all know cowards are weak, and Kamala Harris can smell weakness.
DD India correspondent Kate Fisher has sent this report from Washington. Have a look.
Barack and Michelle Obama, both incredibly gifted political orators, and they both delivered really energizing speeches which got the crowd really enthusiastic, riled up. There were tears, there were screams, there were really positive reactions to both of these speeches. They both talked about a renewal of hope. They said hope is back. Of course, Barack Obama talked about hope in his historic election in 2008. And a lot of what he talked about was kind of trying to continue that legacy, talking about the fact that this was a new start and talking about the historic moment. They also both talked about Donald Trump and attacked him, calling on Americans not to vote for his divisive and grievance-filled politics and to reject that, saying that he was focused on himself, whereas Kamala Harris would be focused on the American people. Barack Obama ended his speech and ended the night's speeches, the whole night's agenda by saying, "Now, let's get to work."
Britain's government again borrowed more than expected last month, according to official data on Wednesday that highlighted the tight financial backdrop for new Finance Minister Rachel Reeves as she prepares for her first annual budget. As per the Office for National Statistics, British public sector net borrowing was £3.101 billion or $4.04 billion in July. It was the biggest July total since 2021 when the deficit surged during the COVID-19 pandemic. Reeves has warned taxes will go up in her October 30th budget. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. At least 28 passengers died and 23 others injured in a bus crash in Iran on Wednesday. The bus carrying Pakistani pilgrims overturned in central Iran due to a technical defect in its braking system. The incident occurred on Tuesday night and the pilgrims were traveling from Pakistan to Iraq's holy city of Karbala to commemorate one of the biggest events in the Shia calendar. Typhoon Doordarshan moves towards the East Asian nation, causing heavy rains and strong wind in parts of South Korea. Several vehicles and roads are submerged in water. Flights have also been cancelled amid coastal flood warnings. Evacuation order for the island is also issued. Though no casualties have been reported yet, people have been advised to stay away from the rivers. Heavy rains have been recorded in the Huludao city of northeast China's Liaoning province since Monday, forcing evacuation of more than 7,000 people. Emergency response teams comprising of firefighters and police have rescued around 83 and are looking for more trapped residents. Transportation and communication has also been affected in the city and surrounding villages. Still to come on DD India News Hour. As PM Modi embarks on a visit to Poland and Ukraine, we will have an in-depth discussion over what's on the agenda. Indefinite strike of junior doctors continue in all major hospitals in India's capital, Delhi.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj, and a quick recap of the headlines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarks on two-nation visit to Poland and Ukraine, says will look to strengthen bilateral ties and shares perspectives on peaceful resolution of the ongoing Ukraine conflict. As Russia-Ukraine conflict escalates, Kyiv launches its largest ever drone attacks on Moscow. Russian Air Defense says it destroyed 45 drones targeting capital. On second day of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, former US President Barack Obama endorses Kamala Harris in her White House bid, urges voters to back a new chapter with her. Well, PM Modi is en route on key visits to Poland and Ukraine. What's on the agenda? What's on table? For that, we have Dr. Sheetal Sharma, Professor, Center for European Studies, SISJNU, joining us on the broadcast. A very warm welcome to the broadcast, ma'am. This is the first visit by Indian Prime Minister in 45 years, and this year marks the 70th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations between India and Poland. It is heard that talks regarding healthcare and IT sector is on cards. What do we expect, and how is it going to benefit both the nations?
Siddharth, the visit is really historic for a couple of reasons, or I would say not just couple of reasons. Couple of reasons are important. However, there are multiple reasons for which we can identify this to be a momentous in history. The first is that it has been taken after a long period of time, almost gap of 5 decades, you can say.
Yeah.
That too in the context that a lot in the world politics has changed in the 4-5 decades, you would say, after the fall of Berlin Wall particularly. The second is that Poland and Ukraine, the visit which is on the cards right now, is very momentous as well, because the regional politics or the regional conflict is determining how the global politics and the world order is going to unfold in the next few years. So this is very important, and what role India can play and how India can position itself in the global chessboard is going to be very important. The third one is from the economic perspective, and I would say that although of course our data for, of trade and commerce with Poland or with Ukraine has not been very impressive, but it's good, hovering around say 5 to 5.5 billion US dollar in the last few years. Although of course there has been a massive rise, almost 200% jump in the statistics related to trade with Poland. But still there is a lot of potential which is unexploited as yet, or unexplored areas. And as you are saying that health and textile and other areas or science and technology are going to be very important, there are reasons for it. Because number one, the post-pandemic scenario in Europe has changed a lot, which is related to facilities of health infrastructure.
Correct.
And also the manpower. And particularly if we talk about the demand for Indian doctors and nurses in Poland, there is a huge scope for people of medical background here from India to go and work there. So one is the requirement of the manpower, where Indians with a high level of skill set can actually fit in. And the second one is the health infrastructure, where you can actually collaborate with the country. The fourth one is science and technology. Yes, of course, and Poland is famous for its food processing and agricultural areas of activities, and this is where we can always find a good avenue to collaborate and cooperate with the Polish companies and organizations to come up and help the agriculture sector here. The broad scenario within which these small boxes fit in is that, that India has its own vision, its own interest, its own goals. However, despite all this, India operates within a value system. And this is what India, this is what makes India a trustworthy partner for the other countries all across the globe.
Indeed.
And this is where this is very important for us to come together and share a common vision. Yes.
Okay. Dr. Sheetal, after Poland, PM Modi will visit Ukraine, and his visit comes at a time when conflict between Kyiv and Moscow is raging. It's escalating. When it comes to this conflict, ma'am, India has always advocated for dialogue and diplomacy for a peaceful solution. This time as well, the stance would be the same. He had earlier visited Moscow to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin. Do you think his visit to Ukraine now will have a huge impact in finding ultimate solution to this?
Siddharth, I can't comment about the ultimate solution because that's a big thing. Otherwise, had it been so easy, the conflict would have not, got escalated so much or dragged on for last 3 years. But something which is very important from India's perspective is that first Prime Minister visits Moscow, and now the visit to Poland and then Ukraine. It's not just a matter of, Ukraine having a war with Russia. the neighboring countries of Russia, which are primarily the Central and Eastern European countries, are also directly and indirectly affected by it because they are now part of the European Union. The very important fact is that why Prime Minister goes to Moscow and then he goes to Ukraine and Poland is that this is a very clear-cut message that India is not going to reflect any of the shadows of the Western foreign policy. By West, I mean the big ones in the European Union, certainly UK, France, UK not being a member, but still a big power in Europe, France, Germany, UK or Italy, and particularly US. That we are there independent of how the Western world looks at the regional conflict there. Yes, of course, European Union or Europe as the entire continent, the war is happening on the doorstep. They are worried about it. They have genuine security concerns about if the war escalates or it moves beyond Ukraine to other countries, which absolutely no one wants right now. But if in case, we look at our stand, the Prime Minister wants to make it very clear that look, we have our own vantage point to deal with the Western countries, be it Russia or US or any of the European country. And this indicates our strategic autonomy, that our decision making is dependent on us only. We are not, we are thinking independent of any of the versions of Cold War era or the shadows of US foreign policy. And this is very important for us to position us on this global high table, not as a reflection of any big power, but as an independent, aspiring and rising power.
Okay, so how do you see his visit to Ukraine, ma'am?
Pardon?
How do you see his visit to Ukraine now?
Ukraine is, once again, it's like an indirect message or a direct message, even to Russia, that it is not something which is in favor of the humanity, that Russia keeps on attacking and now the counter-offensive.
No, but India has always took a stand, ma'am, that the conflict can only be resolved through dialogue and diplomacy. I'm just asking in a nutshell, what are you trying to say when PM is visiting Ukraine?
Ukraine, the direct message is that, not even indirect, the direct message is that diplomacy is something which is very important. You must come onto the table, talk out, because now the stage has gone into counter-offensive, which would further escalate rather than bringing the temperatures down. So that is why the visit, what he had said to the President Putin as well, that peace will come only through dialogue and negotiation. The same will happen here. What would be the roadmap to bring both the parties on this common ground and to establish peace is something which will unfold over a period of time. But the message is very important, that it's only dialogue, discussion and peace which will bring an end to the war rather than something escalating or counter-offensives.
All right, ma'am, finally, before we let you go, PM Modi will also be meeting the Indian diaspora there, the Indian community. What message is it giving? I mean, how do you analyze that?
This is the most vibrant scene that you see whenever he's there in any of the countries where Indian diaspora, no matter how big the number is. In Poland, we are only around 25,000 to 27,000 people. And that too, migration has been recent one, not a diaspora as such, which has been settled for long generations, but the migrant community, the workers and the skill category of people.
But wherever he is going, Indian Prime Minister, Narendra Modi has always praised the Indian diaspora community.
Yes,
because they play a big role when it comes to economy or otherwise.
Yes, this is very true, and the kind of charm, enthusiasm, with which he is welcomed by the diaspora people or by the Indian people of Indian origin there is very, very vibrant and full of energy. Now, what is very important is that this also opens up another aspect of India's bilateral relationship with Poland, is that how can we bring in the element of people-to-people connect or cultural diplomacy. And there are almost 3 lakh people. Polish population is around 38 million only, but like 3.8 crores in terms of understanding it that way. So, and out of that, 3 lakh plus people, they practice yoga, and we have a cultural connect with Poland for a long period of time, more than 3-4 centuries. So how can we take this, in a right direction is also something which is on the cards.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining in the broadcast.
Thank you, sir.
And let's take a look at other stories making news. The Resident Doctors Association of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, extended its gratitude to the Supreme Court of India for its verdict on RG Kaur Medical College that ensures setting a national task force for prevention of violence and promoting safe working conditions for medical professionals. Admiral Marcos Sampaio Olsen, commander of the Brazilian Navy, receives a ceremonial guard of honor in Delhi. Admiral Marcos is on an official visit to India from August 19 to 24 and aims to enhance maritime cooperation between the two countries. He held discussions on various aspects with India's Chief of Naval Staff, Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi. The world leader in lighting, Signify, has illuminated 25 villages of the northeast Indian state Arunachal Pradesh with energy-efficient LED street lighting, enhancing safety of local villages and promoting sustainable rural development. The project was executed in collaboration with Indian Army and grassroots NGO Bharat Cares. Still to come on DD India News Hour. India's double Olympic bronze medalist Manu Bhaker will miss the ISSF World Cup final in New Delhi. The 2024 Women's T20 World Cup shifted from Bangladesh to United Arab Emirates amidst unrest in original host nation.
The World Wildlife Organization tells us that over 3 billion people across the globe rely on seafood. There are efforts being made to preserve our marine ecosystem, so let's dive right in.
The course of the river was getting shrinked in the upstream areas, and when there is no freshwater flow, the river Ichamoti only survives in the downstream areas, and it has become, in our terminology, we call it a tidal inlet.
Habitat from so many places in the world, and people didn't even know that it had happened.
Mussels that live at the bottom of the lake have this large effect on the biology of the entire lake.
This is the poster that we provide to people on our fish walks. So they can just look at this and identify which are the fish in season, and when we give them the test to go out and identify sustainable fish.
It's worrying because rising temperatures cause the water to expand and with it, the sea level to rise.
This week on Defense Dynamics, we will dive into incredible piece of engineering that's making waves internationally, the BrahMos missile. A missile jointly developed by India and Russia is the fastest cruise missile in the world. Also, we will tell you how Bangladesh's geographical position makes it a strategic player in South Asian regional dynamics. Watch Defense Dynamics tonight at 10 p.m. IST only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. The 19th Confederation of Indian Industry India-Africa Business Conclave began in New Delhi. The theme of the 3-day conclave is creating one future with focus on areas of trade, investment, infrastructure, healthcare and technology. More than 1,100 international delegates from 65 countries participated in the conclave. The business event witnessed a powerful collaboration between India and Africa. Addressing the inaugural session of the Business Conclave, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar called on all the countries in the world to collectively focus on combating climate change. He also spoke about the inclusion of the African Union as a permanent member of G20.
Africa forged crucial global partnerships to address complex challenges. India's rise and inclusive multilateralism drive progress for the global South. Excellencies, the inclusion of the African Union as a permanent member of G20 alongside European Union, which was already there during our presidency in 2023, is a matter of great pride and a very significant geopolitical development.
Amid the rising cases of Mpox, global public health authorities remain on alert for a new, faster spreading variant of the virus. In Southeast Asia, Thailand has recorded a Mpox case in European man who arrived from Africa. The test results are awaited to determine the strain. Another Mpox case with mild symptoms of the Clade 2 variant has been detected in Philippines. Health officials have been ordered to continuously monitor areas and people vulnerable to the virus. Meanwhile, Argentina health authorities have quarantined a cargo ship in the Paraná River after a crew member showed symptoms of Mpox. The ship sailing from Brazil has isolated the infected person from the rest of the crew on board, and all emergency protocols have been activated on the ship. According to WHO, till now, approx 13 countries have reported Mpox cases caused by other strains across Americas this year. A public health emergency has been declared by the World Health Organization over a new outbreak of Mpox in several African nations. Adar Poonawala, chairman of the Serum Institute of India, in a statement said that SII is working on the vaccine for monkeypox after increase in cases around the globe. The Pune-based institute hopes to develop the vaccine by next year, and work is in process. India had recorded around 30 cases of Mpox since 2022, the latest being in March this year. Government has increased security measures at airports and borders with Bangladesh and Pakistan after recent surge in cases. Authorities are instructed to closely screen international travelers for symptoms of the virus. You're watching DD India News Hour, and time now for sport. And for that, my colleague Tanvi Taneja is here. Hello, Tanvi.
Hi.
What is happening in the world of sport?
Yes, Siddharth, a lot is happening in the world of sports. We'll talk about Manu Bhaker, the most decorated Olympian in Indian history. India's double Olympic bronze medalist Manu Bhaker on Tuesday confirmed that she will miss the ISSF World Cup final in New Delhi in October. Her coach Jaspal Rana had hinted a week ago that Manu will take a break after a grueling schedule leading up to the Paris Olympic Games. The 22-year-old achieved qualification for the ISSF season ender by making the podium in the Olympics. Manu said, and I quote her here, "I'll be taking a break because it has been 8.5 years without a break. Now I have decided to give my shoulder a little rest. I will be taking a 3-month break. After that, I will be starting again. I will start competing after 4 or 5 months," she said. The 2024 Women's T20 World Cup shifts from Bangladesh to the United Arab Emirates, and this is amid the unrest in the original host nation. The International Cricket Council said in a statement that the tournament will now be held at 2 venues in the UAE, Dubai and Sharjah from 3rd of October. The relocation is the result of the unrest caused by weeks of anti-government protest there. ICC stated that travel advisories from the governments of a number of participating teams suggested that plans to hold the World Cup in the original host country might not be feasible. The Cricket Council thanked Emirates Cricket Board for stepping in to host the tournament. ICC Chairman Greg Barclay on Tuesday confirmed that he will step down from his role as the ICC chairperson when his tenure concludes on November the 30th. An ICC chairman is eligible for 3 terms of 2 years each, and Barclay, a New Zealand-based attorney, has so far completed 4 years. Barclay was appointed as the independent ICC chair in November 2020 before being re-elected in 2022. As per ICC rules, the chairman's election comprises of 16 votes, and now a simple majority of 9 votes is required. That's 51% for the winner. Earlier, to become the chairman, the incumbent needed to have 2/3 of majority. According to reports, Jay Shah might be one of the candidates who could take over from Barclay as the new chair of the ICC. Whether Shah will be interested to throw his hat in the ring will be clear by August 27th, which is the last date for filing nominations for the chairman's post. World number 1 Yannick Sinner, who is set to play in the US Open, has been cleared of any wrongdoing after he failed the drug tests twice in March. Sinner tested positive for low levels of a metabolite of clostrobol, which is a steroid used to build muscle mass. However, the International Tennis Integrity Agency found that the anabolic agent entered his system from a member of his support team through massages and sports therapy. And on to football. Manchester City's Phil Foden has won the Professional Footballers Association Men's Player of the Year award, while Chelsea's Cole Palmer takes home the Young Player of the Year honour. Forden scored 19 goals in 35 top-flight appearances in 2023-24 as City won a historic fourth successive Premier League. The midfielder at 23 became the youngest player to have won 6 league titles. Coming to Parma, the 22-year-old scored 22 goals in 34 Premier League appearances in his first season for Chelsea. His performance earned him a spot in the England squad for the Euro 2024, where he scored in the final. And Khadija Shah is named the Professional Footballers Association Women's Player of the Year, while Grace Clinton is honoured with the Young Player of the Year award. Shaw, who has won Women's Super League Player of the Year for 2023-24 and Player of the Year at the Women's Football Awards, adds another accolade in her illustrious career. Shaw was the top scorer in 2023-24 season with 21 goals in 18 games. The 21-year-old Clinton, who backed the Young Player Prize, spent last season with Tottenham on loan from Manchester United, scoring 4 times and grabbing 4 assists to help the team finish at the 6th position. So that's it from the world of sports. Now I'll hand it back to Siddharth.
Thank you so much for all those updates, Tanvi. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.